Don't try. Do.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy. So Ahsoka has been a gift to Star Wars fans with some epic character cameos from Anakin to basically the entire cast of Rebels. Although some people, like myself, have wondered, where is Luke? Why has the galaxy's savior not been brought in when the big baddie Thrawn threatens to undo everything that he just saved? Whoa! Be mindful of your feelings, young padawans. There are numerous compelling and plausible explanations for Luke's absence in this show, and we are here to discuss why we have not or may never see Luke appear in Ahsoka. And before we dive into it, I want to thank you for clicking this video and supporting us, and remind you that we now have our very own merch store at ScreenCrushMerch.com. The team and I designed these shirts ourselves. We're really proud of them. We've got a few great ones for you, like the Grand Admiral Returns polo shirt, the Say No to Death Sticks Go Home and Rethink Your Life, this excellent poster or tapestry showing a master and apprentice family tree, the prequel apologist Thank You George, original trilogy, Somehow Palpatine Returned. We've got a lot of shirts on the site. Please check it out, and thank you again for supporting the channel. So first, let's clear up some confusion on the timeline of when Ahsoka takes place. Some have theorized that one of the significant reasons Luke isn't around is that the series takes place before the Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka wouldn't even know of Luke's existence. In an interview with SFX magazine, Natasha Lou-Bordizzo, who plays Sabine in the series, cleared up when this takes place in the timeline. She said, Ahsoka runs along the same timeline as The Mandalorian Season 3, and the shows are all connected. There's just so many parallels. Now, the parallel timeline of all these Disney Plus series is why the internet is just a bit confused. Andor and Kenobi were released between the Filoniverse shows, but are set before A New Hope and after The Bad Batch. Filoni's Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka happened after Return of the Jedi and before The Force Awakens. The next live-action series, The Skeleton Crew, is also taking place right after Return of the Jedi and running parallel to The Mandalorian. But then, the following live-action series, The Acolyte, will take place approximately 100 years before The Phantom Menace at the end of the High Republic era.
I'm so damn confused.
Nevertheless, she confirmed that this is taking place after the Book of Boba Fett, meaning that Ahsoka is aware of Luke, she's aware of where he is and what he's doing. This leads us to our first possible reason Luke isn't being brought in to help stop Thrawn. He's working on rebuilding the Jedi Order. Ahsoka is aware that Luke's primary mission is to train a new generation of Jedi and build a new Jedi Temple. Recognizing the significance of this endeavor, Ahsoka might be deliberately avoiding involving Luke in her journey, understanding that Luke's mission has the potential for a lasting positive effect on the galaxy, and she wouldn't want to divert his attention from this crucial task.
You mean the new Jedi Order that Kylo Ren will eventually destroy?
Yes, but she doesn't know that.
But does he even have any students right now?
Well, now that's a good question. When we last saw Luke, he had given Grogu a choice to choose between the Beskar chainmail or Yoda's green lightsaber. If he had chosen the lightsaber, then he would have become Luke's first official student at his academy. But since Grogu left, it's confusing who, if any people, Luke is currently training.
What about Leia? We know he trained her.
Yes, but Luke trained Leia before Grogu, as Leia chose to step away from her Jedi path before Ben Solo was born when she sensed her son's tragic demise. Ben Solo, born in 5 ABY, is alive during the events of The Mandalorian, which commences in 9 ABY. This brings up another reason why Luke possibly is not in Ahsoka. He's not needed, because the foundational premise of Star Wars implies that there are a lot of frontiers to cover. Lucasfilm doesn't need to keep bringing in legacy characters of the original trilogy to attract viewers. Star Wars can literally go
to infinity and beyond!
I mean, having Luke as the main character in this series would overshadow Ahsoka, and she actually just learned to step out from Anakin's shadow. And I would also argue that she's too busy trying to step out from Ezra's shadow as well. Guys, the show's title is Ahsoka. It's not supposed to be Rebels Season 5.
Be mindful of your feelings.
Yeah, Doug, you're right. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads me to making another video breaking down why Ezra's existence undermines Luke's journey and now Ahsoka's. But I've already given my 2 cents about Ezra in our social videos, so you can watch those rants on our TikTok and Instagrams. The links are all down below. Leia is also mentioned during the Ahsoka series that she's working in the New Republic. C-3PO comes to Hera's defense on behalf of Senator Organa, stating that Leia is the leader of the Defense Council.
Senator Organa personally sanctioned General Syndulla's reconnaissance mission to Cetos.
Now, with Leia in politics and Ben in his toddler years, it doesn't seem like Luke has anyone to train. Now, regardless of whether Luke currently has any students or not, Ahsoka's decision to leave Luke out of her adventures could be driven by a desire to protect Luke in a fragile new Jedi Order. As we know from The Mandalorian, stray Imperial factions still exist and might seek out and stop Luke from fulfilling this mission. Yes, we saw him take out a whole squadron of Dark Troopers, but I doubt if he could fight off an ambush of soldiers should they discover his whereabouts and attack him. Now, I suspect there's an even more personal reason why Ahsoka opts to to not involve Luke. The guilt over what happened between her and Luke's father is strong and clouds her judgment. Until she met up with Anakin in the World Between Worlds, Ahsoka had been walking around with survivor's guilt, feeling that her departure from the Jedi Order contributed to Anakin falling to the dark side. This meant that he would never get to raise his son. So her inner conflict could have made Ahsoka want to distance herself from Luke. When Anakin became Darth Vader, Ahsoka shut off emotionally, fearing the dark side within herself. In Episode 5, appropriately entitled Shadow Warrior, Ahsoka grappled with the dual identities of Anakin, a Master Jedi, and Darth Vader. Anakin compelled Ahsoka to confront the shadows of her past, which stirred intense sadness and anger within her. However, she only came to learn Anakin's final lesson by allowing herself to experience genuine, unfiltered emotions and face what she fears. She, like her master before her, is neither Jedi nor Sith. She's something more. She must let go of who she fears she can be and embrace who she actually is. Now that she has re-emerged as Ahsoka the White, perhaps it will be easier for Ahsoka to forge a stronger, Jedi attachment-free relationship with her former master's son. Now, outside of story arc and character development, another reason we haven't seen Luke in this series is money. Must be funny. After Solo's box office disaster, Favreau and Filoni decided during The Mandalorian Season 2 that the best way to bring in Luke would be going down the Rogue One route. Now, in that film, Tarkin and Leia were played by stunt actors who could act as the body and then have their faces digitally altered to look like the late Peter Cushing and Carrie Fisher. Now, this approach left some viewers with a distinct sense of unease that's called the Uncanny Valley.
Oh my God, what is that?
Hope.
Oh my God, what is that?
Now, while this method has significantly improved by the time we get to the Book of Boba Fett, it's also time-consuming and very expensive. In the case of Luke in the live-action Filoniverse, 3 actors are brought on to perform Luke. Graham Hamilton as Luke's body double, Scott Lang as Luke's stunt double, and OG Luke, Mark Hamill. Mark would do a take to capture the emotional beats, Graham would mimic Mark with CGI dots on his face for deepfake replacement later, and then Scott would step in to do the Jedi flips. But the process doesn't stop there. All 3 takes are then sent to both ILM and visual effects company Lola to begin the process of face-swapping Graham and Mark's takes with a deepfake Return of the Jedi Luke, combining it with de-aging technology and AI voice wizardry. The process takes months, and while I'm happy that YouTuber Shamook was hired to dramatically improve Luke's appearance from The Mandalorian to the Book of Boba Fett, one can't help but wonder, wouldn't it just be cheaper to recast Luke Skywalker?
How dare you, sir?
I mean, look, when it comes to reimagining iconic characters, look at the success of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I mean, Spock is an iconic character, and Leonard Nimoy was synonymous with him, and we're always going to love Leonard Nimoy's portrayal of that character. However, Ethan Peck's portrayal of Spock has been outstanding, with the show garnering immense popularity among fans. It has an 8.3 on IMDb, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, and ranks in the Nielsen Top 10 original streaming programs. Yes, the Solo film bombed, but that was due to a combination of in-house fighting, a weak script, and basically poor box office management. I mean, the movie came out just 1 month after The Last Jedi left theaters. The movie did not bomb because Harrison Ford wasn't Han Solo. I mean, just look at Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford returned as Indiana Jones and the movie still bombed. So I think that with the proper execution, the audience will be able to embrace a new Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, but Mark Hamill.
Look, dude, we all love Mark Hamill. I love Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill is like my #1 celebrity. God, I want to meet this guy of all time. But even Mark Hamill is okay with somebody else playing Luke now. In an interview with Esquire, he states, first of all, they don't need to tell those stories, but if they do, they could get an age-appropriate actor. The key takeaway is that the show is already packed with characters, and bringing in Luke would likely water down the overall narrative and also shift the focus away from Ahsoka's own compelling story. Now, while there's all these possible reasons to keep Luke off screen, I bet we aren't seeing Luke this season because they're saving him for the movies. With Thrawn's emergence and the looming challenges facing the New Republic, it's conceivable that Filoni will save Luke for the upcoming film, which will serve as the grand culmination of the Mandoverse, akin to the epic gathering of characters in an Avengers-style ensemble.
Is that everyone? Like you wanted more?
Now, Filoni has not mentioned much about the film besides wanting it to center around an era-defining moment. In interviews with Empire, he comments, "There are little things along the way that I've built across different media, all in preparation for things that come later. The way I look at it, there are small stories, and then there's the big story of the day too. A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi tell the important parts of the tale that really define the history of the period. There are all kinds of sub-stories underneath that, and we've been building all these small stories," meaning that Filoni has been following the MCU Phase 1 handbook all along. Each series has laid the groundwork on who the players are, where they come from, what they want, and how they will play a crucial part in taking down Thrawn without the film needing to water down the script with exposition. Saving Luke's appearance till then could also be a way for Dave and John to honor a Star Wars Legends book, Heir to the Empire. Now, these books are no longer canon, but they are still amazing. So Heir to the Empire was the first book that centered around Thrawn and set 5 years after the second Death Star's destruction. In the book, Leia and Han are married and expecting twins, while Luke becomes the first of a new generation of Jedi Knights. Grand Admiral Thrawn, the last Imperial warlord, now commands a formidable fleet and possesses 2 destructive secrets threatening the New Republic. And our Golden Trio must stop him. If all that sounds familiar, it's because it is. Now, while I don't see Filoni taking much else from the book, sorry to all the Mara Jade fans, he does seem to be keeping the skeleton of the premise. The timeline is pretty close to the book timeline. Han and Leia are together with their son. Luke is still the first Jedi Knight working to rebuild the Jedi Order. Thrawn is actively looking to engage the New Republic in a new war, and he has super duper secret weapons. Now, the film will not be Luke's story, nor should it be. But if Luke takes on a similar role to Nick Fury in the Avengers, we could see him provide essential information, offer guidance, and bring in reinforcements to assist in thwarting Thrawn at the 11th hour. There would be just enough of Luke to pay off why he was introduced in the first place in the series without ever overshadowing the titular heroes. It would be a win-win for both fans of Luke and the Filoniverse characters. But we're just going to have to wait and see if my theory is correct. Now, while it was thought that the next Star Wars film would come out in December 2025, the strikes in Hollywood have made it doubtful when we will actually see this film. But at least it gives ILM more time to perfect their deepfake AI technology for Luke should they continue down that same path. You really shouldn't continue down that same path.
Are you sure we are taking the right path?
The right path. No.
But that's just what I think. What do you think? Do you agree with why Luke is not in the Ahsoka series? Should they recast Luke? Should we even see Luke? Or did we get it all wrong? I want to thank the writer of this video, Bevan. You can find her socials down below. So whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment or at either of us on Twitter or any social media. For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.